Hello, my name is Dr. Soon Cho, and I am a member of the voice faculty at Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, and I am your moderator tonight. PLU Department of Music is thrilled to host soprano Melody Moore as our special guest. We have three fabulous singers slated to sing for Ms. Moore, followed by a Q&A session in which you all have the opportunity to ask her questions using the chat feature. Melody Moore is enjoying a thriving career on the world's leading opera stages, such as English National Opera, Opéra de Bordeaux, LA Opera, San Francisco Opera, Houston Grand Opera, Washington National Opera, to list a few. Opera News hailed her as a revelation, and of her sold-out recital at Carnegie Hall, one music critic writes, quote, "As I left the auditorium, I could only think, more of Moore, please," end quote. Please join me in welcoming Melody Moore to PLU's virtual masterclass.
Hello.
Hello, Melody Moore in the house.
Where's the fly?
Right?
Yay, Jim Brown. Yay, Dr. Jim.
Thank you so much for making the time to work with our young singers tonight. How are you?
Very well. I've been looking forward to this all day. I've been looking at the songs they're going to sing and trying to figure out if I know what to even say about them, and I do think so, but I've just been kind of nervous because I haven't done something like this in a bit. It's been a while.
Right.
And I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh, well, we are so excited. I couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not a stranger to the Pacific Northwest because you've sung with Seattle Opera before, and you were scheduled to sing. And then what happened? Will you fill us in?
Dun, dun, dun. The Coves. Well, like everybody else, we just watched one door after the next close with an indefinite click. I feel sad about it. I wanted to do Santuzza on stage so badly. I mean, of course, we made the recording, but that's not the same. And I was so looking forward to it. Of course, everyone at the opera has been kind, and they're looking forward to trying again at some point. But yeah, and then you successively future think yourself into, is the next one going to do the same? And it's a bit of a mind game.
Absolutely. For those who don't know, Santuzza, and I played the famous aria just now at the beginning. It's from Mascagni's Cavalleria Rusticana, and you were slated to perform it at Seattle Opera in February, March? Is that correct? This past spring.
Oh, it was coming after I had a Salome first, and then so it should have been more like March, April.
Well, if it happens, we will all be there cheering you on.
I hope so. Yeah. I'd love to try it. I mean, even as you were playing the clip, I thought, oh God, what would I do now? What would the sound be like with all of that knowledge of what we've been through behind it? Because we inform our voices with what we've been through. The breath comes from what we are, from who we are. So I can't imagine what that would be like now. I hope one day.
Well, I read somewhere that you had just finished singing at the Metropolitan Opera when you got the news that things were shutting down due to COVID. Is that correct?
We were, in fact, I was at an audition when they really gave the word, but I'd heard some stirrings in late February, but nothing like we're going to shut down. But yes, 2 days previously, I had gone on as a cover for the woman who was singing Zenta, and I had gotten the stage time, and I did the big aria on stage in front of Maestro, and it was just starting to look like that dream come true that we think about. We think about what will we do in that moment. Well, the moment was there, and I got dressed, went home. I had an audition the next day. I felt very good about it. And I came out, and the moderator of that audition said, I think I should go ahead and tell you, but the Met is closing. And I got a text saying,
Oof.
pack your things and go. and I got that news at 3 o'clock, and I was on a plane at 7:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got out because we had seen in the city grocery stores lines, very strange behavior. We knew, but we didn't know. So I just figured the sooner I could do it, the better. But it was really kind of a sleepwalk. It felt like, what is happening? I'm reacting, but I don't know why. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe we're still in shock and mourning the loss. Yeah.
my, oh, I'll just tell you a quick story. Somebody asked me, oh, I was at a doctor's office and getting blood work. And the doctor said, are you still singing? And I had my mask on and I just flooded. I did not know it was coming. I've talked about it. I talk about it plenty. But it somehow the way she asked, or maybe me actually asking myself that question and answering it, uh, broke my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
that was just a few days ago. And I was, why am I doing this? I've
Mm-hmm.
already been through this. I've processed this, but clearly, like any trauma, the body knows the score, right?
Mm-hmm. So how do you stay focused or motivated during this time when it is so uncertain? And I think it'd be whatever you share will be, uh, you know, really helpful to our students, our audience, because they're struggling. And as me too, and I know my colleagues are struggling as well. It's hard.
I think one of the first things I did was reactionary, which was I need to get a job. I need to get a job today. Uh, I was having a lot of trouble in California. We've had a lot of trouble hearing from unemployment department. They were completely just buried. Uh, and it was 3 months or so since I had heard anything and had sent in a lot of applications and needed some help in the way of unemployment, but wasn't really getting what I needed. So I reacted. At the same time, I learned a lot from that process. So one of the things I would say in coping is if you thought you couldn't, I beg to differ. If you think you can't, try it. Why not? What in the world is there to lose right now? What more? What more? Which makes me tear up to even say it, but it is the truth. If you thought about taking that, baking class online and you wanted to actually buy the series masterclass, which no one can afford, now is the time, now is the time to actually branch yourself and say, what is that thing that called to me? All through, because we have colors. We are not one thing. And as much as we sing with ourselves, we aren't just singers. We are more. We are interpreters. We are speakers. There are many, many ways to find creativity in your life. And even if that's trying something you never thought you could do, get out Julia Child's book and blow your kitchen up. Try it. Who's watching? Your
You're
thoughts?
right.
Yeah, exactly. So I just say, in one way, my way, and I've had definitely dark days. There were a couple. I think I saw you as Katya in Seattle Opera. You were stunning. Thank you. Olivia, you did, and I thank you. I don't want to ignore that because I tend to do that. I look
Mm-hmm.
right at the eyeball of the person, you know. Hi, soon.
Hi, Mel.
But I would say we can get into ruts as humans. We very much are creatures of habit. We do the same thing every day, Pinky, because we want we want comfort. But now is not a time in which that is hardly ever is there a time in which that's a guarantee, but even more so now we can see day by day the guarantee is probably chaos, not that the world is going to grant you that peace of mind. So I think now is the time to seek that. If you want to do a class on meditation, if you thought about reading the Bhagavad Gita, if you want to look into Buddhist thought and mindfulness, now is the time. Now, now, now.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's very helpful. And now, just to backtrack, back in 2012, I tell this story all the time to my students as an example of, like you need to be ready.
I know
So,
what you're going to say. Go ahead.
yes, you're in LA Opera. You're a cover, I believe,
Mhm.
right? You're in the audience and you get a tap on the shoulder
Yeah.
because the soprano.
Yeah.
Would you share that story?
Yes. But actually, it was San Francisco, I think, if you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about Tosca. Are you talking about Tosca?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Sorry.
It's
Yes,
okay.
San
That
Francisco
same
Opera.
thing happened in LA, but not with Tosca, but another time that did happen. But so I was actually in a viewing room, which is a kindness that sometimes opera companies will give to the covers so that you don't have to be in the house all the time. You can be in a room in which you might be able to eat your dinner, but still watch the thing play out in front of you. So we had this HD broadcast, beautiful television, and our soprano began to shake. And she had the flowers in the first act that you put with the Madonna, and they were like this. And I did not know her to be like that at all. I'd never seen that. And I thought, that's interesting. I don't like that. And I put down my peanut butter and jelly or whatever, and I left. And I told the room, I'm just going to go warm up. I'm going to go more warm up. I always came warmed up, but I wanted to do more because it made me nervous. And I got a page in the basement of San Francisco Opera, Ms. Moore, report to the office. And I got up there and they rushed me into a dressing room and they got out Carol Van Ness's dress and put it on me. And we did the very best that we could to get me ready fast. I think it took extra 20 minutes or so, but I walked in on opening night of the season as Tosca, Act Two, having never sung it with an orchestra and even through with piano with any repetitor. That,
Ooh, I
that's it.
remember reading about this on the news. It made national news, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and it really fired up your career.
Yeah.
I know that you were part of the Marola program and then Adler Fellow, and so you were, prepared. They prepared you somewhat, but not
Yeah.
for.
No, because actually I asked to cover it. There wasn't a cover. And I don't think that they thought of me as one in a way at that time. I think they thought, oh, that's a lot. And it is,
Hmm.
but I wanted to do it and I asked to be heard. And I said, will you just hear a couple sections? They did, and they allowed me to be the cover. So really, I don't think anybody saw it coming. But
No,
yeah.
but I love that. And you
I
were always like that back at school. We were at school together, and I remember you knocking on our teacher's door because you wanted to study with her, and
Yeah.
she was like, "No." And you was
Oh,
like, and you said, "No, I'm gonna keep knocking until you accept me as your
well, next week
student."
maybe.
Just
And
you
I
knew
don't
you went
know
after it.
yeah, what kind of magic tricks I performed to get her to listen to me. I had no idea what I did. I did something. I don't know if I came in there and I was like, look, here's what I'm not getting, and here's what I think you've got. I think there was an kind of an encounter like that, if I
Hmm.
remember, and if she's on here, maybe she'll correct me. But I think that is true. That was a while back though,
Yeah, you always went after it, and I
and I
think
was
that's
bitter in
something
the
that
house.
a young singer, you know, like not be shy about it.
And I think that the spirit speaks to you clearly often in your life. I think there are many times that you hear that still small voice and it sounds small, but it's big. It's a knowing, and it's I can do this. I had a couple of other times in college in which that happened, which I said, no, not this time. This time, I believe this is what's meant for me. And it always worked out to my favor. And it's not all the time. There,
Hmm.
sometimes you're sitting in the cover position or you're you're not quite where you wish you were, or you think you should be doing more, but you don't quite know how to do it. There are times you're confused, but those times that it speaks clearly, just you're going to have to go for that. You're being told there's something that's saying to you now. And I think there's magic in that timing. It doesn't
Yes.
happen all the time, but it happens enough. And Tosca was
Awesome.
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have three singers anxiously waiting to sing for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I will share tonight's program on chat for our audience members. So also please use the chat feature to communicate with the participants and the panelists. So without further delay, please join me in welcoming our first singer, Lindsay Hansen.
Now I will mute, correct? Yes.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today, I will be singing O mio bambino from Gianni Schicchi by Puccini. It's just going to take a moment, though, because I have to get my music queued up.
What a beautiful job, Lindsay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I know there's probably a bit of I can hear myself back. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I'm going to mute myself when you speak,
Okay.
and then we can make sure that works.
Okay. And people are saying bravo to you, brava to you, and they should be. So take that in as well, please, Lindsay. So one of the things, first of all, beautiful job. I can tell that your deportment tells me that you're very engaged, and you can nod and let me know if you can hear me okay. Is that good? Okay. You're very engaged with the text. I like that. We have to tell stories. We have to bring people along with us on a journey. I think one of the things I'm hearing is that the line sometimes is interrupted. And I think the reason is there's a lot going on, and it in your body. There's not just nerves, but there's this anticipation. And it may cause you at times to come off your line, whether that mean that you take a different kind of breath than you normally would, and it's not as stable underneath you as it would be. And in one way, I'm going to give you some weird advice. And then we'll get back to singing it. I'm going to give you some weird advice and say that technique is for the purpose of going a little crazy when you wanna, but you can't do it until you get the technique down. So what it will provide is a stability across the board, so that when you want to give a little more, a little or a little less, and you want to pull off or put more into it, it doesn't come off of the body. So that's what I want to talk to you about, because there's more in there. There's way more in there. And maybe, and you're doing a little squinchy nose, and so talk back to me and tell me if maybe you recognize what I'm saying.
Yes, very much so. I think too, I'm worried about like the mic not working. That's like another
Sure.
component. Dr. Cho, I had a lesson with you yesterday, and she was so patient with me, just like getting tech set up. And she
Yeah,
was like, Zoom and microphones are not made for big voices.
no. No, and there are times, I've taught a few students here and there around this pandemic, and the mics just blow. I mean, they just blow up. They rattle, they get too much feedback, and they can't handle it. But we can still tell before, right before you get to that note, there was an approach. So if we're listening out for that, we can tell what probably happened, that if we could hear you in a live room would make sense. So being that, take that with a grain of salt, we are all having to listen to each other over these weird times and over these weird mechanisms. But what I can hear is that, like, let's take, for example, I'll give you a phrase, especially Babbo Pietà. So coming into that first one, right? I love the way that you pulled off of it. The second time though, I'd like for the iteration of what you're saying to be felt in the breath that you take that informs that. In other words, if I'm hearing Babbo Pietà, Pietà, and the next breath I hear is, it's probably not, right? Or I see a big heave, that's probably not setting up a gentle phrase, right? So I would like to go back, and can we start it one more time? I know we have limited time, but maybe I'll just do like this when I want you to stop. Can you see me okay when you're singing? I'll just kind of go like this, and then you stop what you're doing, and I'll backtrack us enough that I can try to explain what I'm hearing or seeing. And I really like that you're showing me the middle of your body. So I know I can't see everything, but I can see a heaving breath. Okay. And that's what I'm warning you against. Let's try again, and I'll do my finger like this. Okay.
Okay.
What a mess, this technology. Bondade importarosa, right? So for that one, I feel that what I'm hearing is that content, and don't let me speak over your teacher, like ever. But this should resonate. I'm hearing that the consonants get stuck. So it's a lot of voandare importaro. There's not a lot of vowel coming through. So instead, let's try to lengthen the vowel through that. I'm not going to talk about breath right now. Let's, instead of saying voandare, chewing them, let the vowel go through the phrase more. Voandare importare. So if it's a hose with water coming out of it, we don't want to stop it with our consonants. We want to pass through it. This is the breath. We want the consonant to pass through it. We don't want it to go like that.
I really like that analogy.
Awesome.
That's all.
Word. Let's try voandare again.
Let me figure out a
And if you
way.
ever want to do a little section of it, if you know kind of the tune in your head and you don't want to have to go back with music, you can.
Okay. I am just gonna do music this time because I
Sure.
already had it.
Totally.
Caro, mi piace bello, andare in porta rosa a confinar l'anello. Sì, sì, ci voglio andare. E se l'anima sentando andrei sul ponte Sorry, I thought you were gonna say something. Okay.
I'm just tickled by how much sound you have. I'm just tickled. I love it. So here's another thing I'll say. When breath is taken, and if this contradicts anybody, just throw me away tomorrow. It was a few minutes of your time, okay? But when breath happens high, if we're taking our breath kind of around the sternum area or right below it, what happens is we lift ourselves up here, right? We lift ourselves up. This whole apparatus comes up. But there's nothing underneath it in which to buoy the sound. So if you think of it like a Scottish bagpipes, when you see a Scottish bagpiper, right, they're blow into this tube, they're filling the bag with air, but there are times that it's still playing and you see them take their mouth away. How is it still playing? They're applying constant pressure onto the bag. They're not applying incredible pressure, but they're applying a consistent pressure. So it's about getting the air actually buoyant in the body. Are you okay? Did you have a sneeze?
No, I just yawned. Sorry.
I'm glad I'm stimulating you. I'm just playing. Okay, so if you take a breath and you feel that breath raise the upper parts of your ribs and into here, and you find yourself kind of going like this, you're off the bottom of the breath. The breath needs to actually go into what our teacher used to call the belt of mouths. So imagine that there's a belt around your waist and that each, it's kind of a weird image. I'm just going to leave that with her because look, that's not my nightmare. But she donated it to me. So if you imagine that there's little ways to take in air around that belt, that's where we're breathing. Sometimes I see you, and this is why you're running out at the end of a phrase, I believe, is that the tank is happening up here. You're not relaxing into the expansion that happens below the ribs. So instead of taking what you think is a big breath, I would rather you feel kind of a cold spot in the soft palate in the back of your mouth and take a slower breath in, like you were sipping it through. You don't have to get enough. In fact, when you do that, it fills all the way up to here and now you're tight every time. Instead, it's almost like, oh yeah, I used this one time. I called it like the alien head look. You know how they used to, if you see those drawings of like supposed, they have this kind of egg shape. Oh, look at my hawk, isn't it? Yeah. They have this kind of, thank you. Egg, that's where I want you to feel like you pull air in that direction. That not, but, right? So it's silent too. Now let's try those phrases again. I told you. She came on with that stupid face. All right, let's just try that phrase again. I want you to think about this. It'll carry you through the rest of the song. Yawning is a good thing because that's how you're supposed to be taking breath in. Try it again for me. Let's do, yeah, just start from where you were. It doesn't even matter.
Okay. at that time.
Girl, that ain't bad. Do you feel that differently?
Yeah,
Talk to me.
definitely.
Yeah. What is it that you feel? I like to ask questions because I want to
Yeah, no, it's good.
get a
Make sure I
grip.
got it. I focus a lot because sometimes it gets a little wonky. I focus on like the expansion of my ribs in my back. But I need to
Yes.
think of this like bottom. Dr. Cho calls it the bell pull. A lot of people call it the bell pull. I like it.
Yeah.
But I need to think of my body as a bell shape. Like I'm up here, and then there's
Sure.
that breath that comes here.
And why? Because it has to buoy your body. It has to carry you. If you're holding it up here, you're holding it. It's not supporting you. So if you keep that in mind, can you do one more phrase for me before we get the other heart face that I'm about to get? The end. Babo pieta pieta. And then the next one, I would like to be informed by the breath we've talked about.
Okay. Here.
Sure. Darling, I love it, and here's why. When you spin like that, because you're supported, now you can add all kinds of feeling. You can give it a little bit more sound. You can squealo yourself to death. You can pull back. You can make it a filament. You can fill it out. You can do anything if you're on that buoy. If you're not, it's all just muscle. And I don't want to see that happen to you.
Yeah, I've been struggling with that, so this was really helpful. Thank you.
I know we didn't have much time.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Lindsay. Thank you.
Yeah. Another time, I'm going to see you in person. I'm going to get on you.
Yes. We have our next singer, Emma Christensen. And also, I would like to take the time to welcome Linda McAllister and the Schmidt Network tonight in our audience. Okay, Emma, we're ready for you.
Hello, my name is Emma Christensen, and I will be performing Möte from Haugtussa by Edvard Grieg. O sitt ein synd og lengt om det liv. Det strømmer på med disse søte tanker, og hjerta fylt og tungt i barmen banker, og drømmen vaknar bivrande og blid. Da gyngde som ei hildring iver myten, orad nerit, der skjem den vene gutten. Bort vil ho gjema seg i yrska bra, mens dagar trilt og av om utan vinter. Dei tekka en annan i dei varme vinter, og stend så der og beit seg en skjerad. Da bryt ho ut i det
svalkvelden stund. Alt meir og meir I lengt deg sammen søskyr. Tar brått hals den unge orm seg kryskyr. Og skjelt deg sammen, munn mot munn. Alt slimrar bort, og dyr I kvelden varm I heide
Fantastic job, Emma.
Thank you.
What a beautiful piece of music. What a stunning piece of music. And you sing it so sweetly. I can tell that you know exactly what you're saying. I had to look up the words before I got to you because I don't know a lot of Greek and I didn't necessarily know what I was looking at. Is this Swedish?
It's Norwegian.
It's Norwegian.
Yes.
It's stunning. Here's one thing I will say that I think will improve the song throughout. When you get to about G above middle C, G to A, the voice comes into a clarity that is lacking air. Like I'm not hearing a hiss come through it. And I think what you're trying to do, because I hear that toward the end of the song, or when the phrase goes higher, I hear that you have a lot of sound and ability to manipulate that, to grow that. You have a decent amount of color and sound there. I think what you're trying to do below G is to make it softer. And I'd like to just alert you to an idea, because sometimes ideas in our heads make a difference in the next iteration. Even if we didn't get told to do a very technical thing, the idea blossoms and then it causes us to do something differently. So I'm going to give you an idea. And that is that dynamics are an attitude more so than a pulling away from support. The attitude of what you're saying in a quiet space in your heart and mind is enough to donate to us the idea that you are being tender or soft in your observation of this young man. So you're saying, it's sort of like this woman is coming to her own understanding of her own body. She doesn't know why this friend from her youth is suddenly huge and tall. And she doesn't know why she wants to get a little bit closer to this guy. Okay, so she's confused a little bit about her own feelings. And that timidity, I think, is coming into your lower register because you're wanting to paint it. Instead, let the music do that for you. And I say, bring what we find around G and A, that concentrated vowel of like E. I don't know the words enough to tell you what they are, but when we repeat it again, I'd like you to log that in your mind, the difference between those two resonances, how they come out. One has a little hiss through it. One is as clear as a bell. There is no reason that one note apart from the other should be that different. There is something in your mind that's telling you you have to quiet that down, right? So let's try it again, and just in your mind, you've got that concept. The concept of dynamics is not pulling myself quieter, right? Let's try it one more time from there. And if I raise my finger, I'm gonna stop.
Okay, from the beginning.
I would like that.
Okay.
sieh dein Sündhag linkt an die Lie.
All right, so that vowel. Completely round, completely solid, no air coming through it. So what I want to hear is instead, you and I just now, let's go like that. Just like do that phrase over and over, but start on the note that comes into its fullness and then go down from there and see what is happening. When you go down, are you coming off of that resonance?
Starting on the high note? Or just...
Sorry. Decide whether to mute or unmute. Anyway, you know the top of those notes, whatever word you're saying, it sounds like Lee or E, kind of. Start there, and I think it's an A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even if you want to glide it, but I want the same quality in the bottom that's in the top.
Okay.
Lie.
All right, now this time instead of coming away from it, like imagine that the feeling of E. Let's just imagine something. The feeling of E drips down the front of your nose when you go down to that lower note. I'm not saying be nasal. I'm just saying imagine that the sound stays forward, that the sound that you feel here remains here up in the frontal part instead of going back to here. What I'm hearing so far is it's like a pencil. Now try that phrase again with that same idea.
Sieh dein Sündhag linkt an die Lie.
You're muted.
Can you try that again from the beginning, now that you have that in your mind? And don't let it, keep refreshing that idea. And don't let it go away. Don't let the pencil dip down or bend off into the back here. Okay, just keep your idea that the vocal line is actually a line. And let's try it again.
Sieh dein Sündhag linkt an die Lie. Distraimer pone desesutet ankar. Og hjarta fyllt og tyngt i varmen vankar.
I hear a huge difference. I think that's lined up. Those voices sound the same. The bottom doesn't sound different than the middle, that doesn't sound different than the top, to me. Now, the trick to that is not allowing ourselves to get lazy in the support. So what's actually happening is when you keep your mind on that, you're feeding it some air instead of just going, who cares about this part? We're going to get to the high part, you know? And not that you're saying that, but I'm making a joke. Anyway, I'd like to now take that into the third part of the song. There are three, I think, verses or three ideas that she's presenting. The last one, if I remember correctly, there's a leap from the top down or something like, it's like a sixth or more.
Yes.
I would
the
like
first verse.
Say it.
In the first verse, there's an octave.
I'd like to hear that again with this in mind.
Let me find it. Do you want the whole verse, or do you want me to move towards that part?
Let's move towards that only because I know that Soon Cho is going to give me a little sign. In fact, she's doing it now. It's over? Oh, no, it's that. Okay. I guess you guys can't see her because they had to clarify that she's giving me signs.
Toing de summa hildring iver nyten, oraud ned, der skjem den venegeten.
Did you hear what I'm saying about that? Whatever it is. Right?
Yes.
So we, I'm sorry, that is crude of me. You're not going, you're not. But what I would like is that, so we have a thing called Singer's Formant. You will learn about this, and if you haven't already. But there's a shape in the mouth that leads to certain vowel sounds in the long run. That this is the way shortened version, and this is kind of what do they call it, the Cliff's Notes version of that. But there are vowel positions throughout the mouth, right? There are ways in which it's more open, and there are ways that if your tongue comes up, it pinches a vowel. And what I'm asking for is that when you're on that top note, I think it's or something, that the sound not go. First of all, it's 10, not ta, right? 10. If you say the right vowel, chances are, right? Because I don't think it's ta. And that's what I'm hearing, kind of a ta and a pullback. Can you try that one more time? I wish I could be nearer to you so I could see anything, but we'll do this the best we can.
Okay.
Toing de summa hildring iver nyten, oraud ned, der skjem den venegeten.
I did not mind that. See, the closer that we can, the more blending that we can do between those registers by singing pure vowels and actually singing the vowel that's there and not just not getting lazy with it, the better. That to me is lined up. I love this song for you. I know that I'm about to get to the flag. I love this song for you. I wish that I could hear it more, like say in a week or something. I just wish I could kind of be closer and be, but you've chosen a beautiful song for yourself. I actually really love, hi Sam. Okay, it's done. I actually really loved your interpretation too, because there was a youth about the approach to him and to your, how can I say, discovery of yourself. It's really beautiful what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful job, Emma. And we have our final singer, Kayla.
Hello, my name is Kayla Lindquist. Thank you everyone this evening for being here. I will be singing the Gavotte from Manon. One second, I don't know what happened. There we go.
was high Q flat. Girl, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful job. And I'm glad that you didn't do the entirety of the part before. It just makes it to where we don't have any time. Thank you for that. I would like to speak to you as well about what I'm going to kind of show you on me. This capacity that I'm seeing, this is kind of what I was talking to Emma about, I think, is that as you're going higher sometimes, not that you don't have the notes, you have them really probably in your sleep. And that's amazing. But I think you could do yourself a service by not lifting out of your carriage. If you're in a, if you're riding along in the movie Outlander or in the, whatever, in the woods, if you're riding along on a carriage, you want to stay seated on that so that you don't bump around a lot. If you're raising up out of your own breath, we're not getting you anchored into it. And I cannot imagine what's going to happen when we do. So I would like for you to think in a way, instead of, especially toward the end, so we'll start at the end when you go back, instead of going back to the beginning. Let's do like the last two phrases. And if you don't want to hit is that E flat that you do?
It's a D.
Oh, okay. If you don't want to do that every time, don't. But let's do the last two phrases. So what I'd like to see is if you can see yourself while you're singing, right? In your own screen. I'd like for you not to raise up to it either with your neck or with your like sternum rib cage. Let's see just what happens if you don't do that. Then we're going to add another idea.
Okay. Is it fine if I do it unaccompanied? Okay. Let's see. Profita de la jeunesse et profita bien de no.
So anybody else? Anybody else want to go ahead and chime in about what that just happened? Okay, so I'll tell you, yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you what just happened. One thing is, and it's kind of simple. When we stretch our neck upward, we're actually losing a lot of air quality. We're losing the amount of air that comes through. We're losing the ability to stay loose here because we're engaging occipital muscles that reach around to here. Now, if you've ever had a sore throat, you understand what it's like, that when it gets tight around there because it's hurting, it stretches all the way around to back here. Sometimes even into your back, it hurts. And that's because those muscles are holding. And what we don't want to do is like, when we lift up like this, we're actually having to hold way back in here. And you don't have the freedom that you need. Also, when you lift the sternum up like this and you come out of the breath, you're actually causing intercostal muscles and around these, the abs to engage in a tight position. So like, let's say when you're swimming, do you swim? So when you're swimming and you stretch out and you take that first pull, when you're stretched all the way out like this, you feel your abdominals engage. That's interesting because you're actually using your arms and your feet more, but you're stabilizing with your abdominals. So what you're doing when you lift up like this is you're causing the abdominals to actually contract. And because of that, it tightens you. You can't have a loose sound. So, or not a loose sound, but a loose body of freedom to move. So this time I want you to do exactly what you just did. And this time also imagine as if there were attached to your belly button and around the waist, kind of like that belt of mouths I talked about before. Imagine that there are just tiny little Lilliputian strings that attach you to the ground. You're not allowed to raise up too much. You're not rigid, but you're not going to go like this without breaking those strands. You can see them as spaghetti if you like, so that you know that you're not anchored, but you don't want to break that. You don't want to break those, right? And imagine them kind of tugging a little bit downward on you, just as an imagination. And let's try those two things that you just did one more time.
Okay.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't do it either. That to me is quite different. And the reason is that there is an engagement with lower musculature instead of pulling away from it and not allowing that part of the back that reaches around and the intercostals to actually support you. When you pull up like this, you engage the frontal muscle. It's no longer a case of being supported like a Bowie anymore. I heard a huge difference. I think a lot of people did. Yeah, the abs. People are saying they have chill bumps because of what you just did. So let's go back to the beginning now and let's keep that in mind. You don't do it too much, but it is something I think you're leaning toward. That as you go up in the register, your body wants to go with it. And thank you, by the way.
What's happening? Okay, there we go.
Now, just a little, I just want to alert you to it. Just a tiny little bit, you're wanting to reach up just a little bit. Do you feel that?
I don't at all. I don't know what's going on, but
Welcome to singing. We often don't know what's going on half the time. I mean, we're just like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? You know, we find ourselves like this, or we're doing this, and I don't know why. But if you could keep your eyes right on yourself, you look like to me that your chin is aligned where I want to see it and not up. Can we try that?
yeah.
I hope those symbols matter. To me, that is a world of difference. Now, from there, we could also talk about, you know, I know that as you approached that top note, you were thinking, you know, of what we had said, and then all of a sudden it was over. But that's what happens when we try new things. You know, a phrase that has always been there will suddenly sound weird or feel weird. And then we apply what we just learned to it. For me, that makes it more free. It sounds to me that you could do anything in the world that you wanted to do. Whereas if when you're doing this, it sounds like you might get a little bit stuck. I really think it's helpful to you. Now, do you, in this opera, when you're singing this part, do you know what she's kind of talking about? Or talk to me about what you know.
Yeah, she just got out of a like engagement and is with a new man who's like giving her lots of really nice dresses, and she has lots of money now, and just as a person, she's not one to like dwell on things a whole lot, at least at this point. So she's telling them like, oh, live while you're young, indulge yourself in things that are like beautiful, like listen to the voice that's calling for you to do that, is what she's saying.
So I have an idea, and it's kind of an interesting one. What if in Manon's mind, so we know where her background is. We know what she's been through before now. And we know what she's been taught about what a woman's place is and how to get what she needs in the world, which is money, basically, and a place to live so that she doesn't go to the convent and she's not a prostitute, basically, right? What if in her mind, let's try this on as a color. What if what she's saying to people is actually a denial in a way of her own self because she is not happy? She does not believe that money is going to solve it. She does not think that this guy's got her best interest at heart. She does not want to be owned. Thank you, Soon. Let's try to think of her that way and see what happens in the song at all, because every idea that we come to the plate with, even if we're told to do something different by a director, every idea that we come to the plate with increases the colors that we have to use. Now, you sing this song perfectly. I believe it, and I think that it's pretty, and I you know, I'd like to hear more of it. I wonder what your character's thinking. And I wonder if you were to make an idea in your mind, like, have you ever said something to somebody, but you're actually just waiting to see how they react? Yeah. I wonder if it's da, 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 da. Almost like, let's see what you people do with what I say. Because you all believe it, and I don't. What would happen? So let's.
So from there, from the profitant. Okay.
So sorry, I just. How does that feel when you sing it that way? I think
I don't know. It felt a little like easier because I think like part of the singing that I was doing earlier was like so focused on like I have to be like really flirty and like really fun, and so I think it was a little more relaxed for me while I was singing it. So yeah.
And let me tell you something. I'm having a hard time hearing you. That one more time for me. I'm sorry, you just kind of broke up a lot.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. It was easier for me because I think like earlier on when I was learning the song and like I had like blocking and stage directions, it was a little more focused on like the flirty and the fun aspect, and I think being a little reserved helped me feel a little more relaxed when I sang it.
Yeah. And I think it. Thank you. Soon. She just said goodbye. It's really going to help because you have a point of view. If you don't have a point of view and it doesn't make a lot of sense to you, then it's just a song and it's just note after note. And I think you got more in there. So work with that, play with it, see what's fun about it. See if sometimes it's actually even kind of pissed off. You know, see if sometimes you're looking around the room to see the guy you really want to go with, because there's that in this story as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Kayla, and to all the singers. And also special thanks to pianist Amy Bors for recording the piano track for our singers tonight. Thank you so much, Amy, Mrs. Bors. We have some time left for Q&A. We'll take questions from the audience, so please use the chat feature to submit your questions. I'll ask a first question. I know that we briefly chatted before the webinar, Melody, about negative voices in our heads and how we give power to them. How do you quiet the negative self-talk?
I find that the most negative talk that I ever hear, and you can hear me okay, right? Okay.
Yes.
The most negative talk that I ever hear is from, of course, myself. And I have started to notice that there's a saboteur, right? RuPaul talks about this a lot. There's an inner saboteur. But I have found that that's actually a really tiny part of us that survives on big ideas. So the ego, the little tiny part of you that wants to take over and always be in charge, really only responds to big drama, really big drama. So unless the ego can make your mind go into this space of like, everything's crazy, we're all gonna die, and tomorrow I don't wake up, unless it can get you to do that, it's actually not happy. So I've started to differentiate in those negative spaces in my mind between, is this a big dramatic idea that's being tried to that's being passed on me? Or is this something that I actually did? Or that I can even trace back and say, my actions have caused this. If I haven't caused it and I didn't do it, it's the ego. And they have to be told, yes, I hear you. I hear that you're scared. I hear that you don't know what's about to happen, but we're going to do this together. So I've started holding hands with the demon, is what I call it. I say, I hear you. I do. It is weird out there.
Mm-hmm.
It is weird. And at the same time, from March, when we got told it was all over, to now, is it all over? No. Have we grown? Yes. Have there been hard days? Yes. So I try to really think logically. I don't shut the voice up. I tell it I hear it, but I say that we both have to exist. It wants to take over. It wants to take over.
Yeah.
And it can't. That's the end of all things.
Yeah. We have a question from the audience member. How do you know the appropriate times to assert yourself in the industry like you did with your voice teacher and the audition for the cover role?
That's a tough one because we are taught early on that assertion. Well, I saw a meme one time that says, what's the difference between aggressive and assertive? Your gender. And I believe it. I believe it. Because as a woman, there's always this fallback on, well, she's just neurotic, or she's a shrew and she just is going to be pushy. It is hard to know how to balance that. But the fact is, if what you're asking is not unreasonable, I say assertion is just actually a call for conversation. So what I did was to ask for a conversation to be had. I didn't assert that I was the best person for the job, but I asserted that I think I could do it. And you're going to have to kind of tell me why I can't. So let's have a conversation about it. And most times that quells that. Now, had I gone up and just said, I'm the person for the job, it doesn't go well. So assertive, I would say that the birthplace of assertive is confidence, right? It starts with confidence to say, I can do this, and I've got this and this reason to know that I can. May I show you that? Because I think you're going to agree, I can do this. And although that is assertive, it's also asking to sit and have a conversation about it. That's what I would say.
Wonderful.
Mm.
We're changing gears. Dr. Brown would
Oh.
like to know what your favorite Washington wine is, because you're studying to be
Oh,
a sommelier, yeah?
yeah.
For those who don't know, it's, you're going to be like the master of all wines, yes?
Yes, of all wines ever.
Ever.
Actually, there are 10,000 grapes out there, so I can't be the master of all of them. But we in America and also in other countries know about 6 major grapes. Those are the ones we see in the stores. And so I can be the master of those.
Okay.
As far as Washington goes, to be honest, when the movie Sideways came out and all of that Pinot Noir explosion happened, there was a reason for it. And there is a reason why Pinot is best in Washington. However, I don't agree that everybody in Washington should make a Pinot because it needs cool weather, but it needs enough sun to ripen. It's a thin-skinned grape. It needs a little bit of extra time, but it also needs a cool, crisp evening time. And so there are places that really shouldn't be doing it. So I would still say that Pinot from Washington is some of my favorite Pinot, even above France.
Woo!
Yeah. There are some that I've tasted that I think are better, but it's not across the board. And not everyone should be making Pinot. So I would still say Pinot from Washington.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We are out of time. Lindsay, I think we can address your question, when the webinar is over. But I'll thank you so much, Melody Moore, Soprano extraordinaire, for making the time. We love you. I love you so much. It's so good to see you. We learned so much. And congratulations to all the singers. Singers, if you can turn on your video and audio and sing. Hello.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Very helpful.
Thank you.
All of you, thank you. And Dr. Jim as well.
Yes. And thank you again to pianist Amy Bors for recording the piano tracks. We love you. We miss you.
She's not there. That's it. Okay, she recorded the tracks. I got it. Thank you, Amy.
Exactly. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye. See you next time. Next class is next Wednesday. Yep. So see you then. Bye.